In this video, I'm going to be talking about Juan Pablo Duarte and Gregorio Luperon, two important historical figures when it comes to Dominican history. There's a lot of revisionism that comes to two events when it comes to Dominican history. One is the 22-year Haitian occupation, and the other is the War of Restoration. Two separate events that led to two different end results, which we are going to review. There's a misconception when it comes to Juan Pablo Duarte, as there are some people in the English-speaking diaspora, even some academics, that paints Duarte as a racist, as it concerns the separation from Haiti. Duarte, number one, you can see his writings preached about equity. Duarte was very pro-democracy, as Jose Marti. Also, Juan Pablo Duarte was anti-slavery, sharing similar views to two important Boricuas. The first, Ramon Emeterio Betances, and the second, Ingenio Maria de Hostos, who is buried in the Dominican Republic. For example, the manifesto of January 16, 1844, it explains the grievances why they chose to separate from Haiti. And one of the main reasons was mainly due to the indemnity Haiti chose to pay to have their independence recognized by France under Jean-Pierre Boyer. Now, when it comes to Gregorio Luperon and the Dominican War of Restoration, the country rose up in rebellion against annexation and restoring sovereignty. The Revolution of July 1857, the Act of Independence, this is taken directly from Frank Moyer Bones. It explains the reason for taking up arms and denouncing Santana's treason in annexing the Republic to Spain. Dominicans were firm in defending their rights against Spain's political and military control over what was then Santo Domingo, as a means of preserving Dominican independence. At this time, the Dominican Republic was going through a financial crisis and faced conflicts with the neighboring nation, Haiti. Okay, two examples from that period, and I'm taking this again from Frank Moyer Bones. One was with Haiti, and the other was from U.S. adventurers. If Juan Pablo Duarte personified nationalism in the first half of the 19th century, the other national hero was Gregorio Luperon, who expressed it in the second half. For Duarte is the hero of the uprising against the Haitian occupation, and Luperon is the hero of the period of the Restoration. In summary, Juan Pablo Duarte was a military leader, writer, activist, national politician who was one of the founding fathers of the Dominican Republic, whereas Gregorio Luperon was a Dominican military general and statesman who was one of the leaders in the Restoration War. Okay, so this is the topic that we're going to get through. We're going to explain it, we're going to give a summary in the description down below. Leave your comments, leave your opinions, be constructive, be objective. and we're going to begin this discussion. Now we're first going to give a summary about Juan Pablo Duarte, who he was, and his influence in Dominican history. The most important nationalist hero of the Dominican Republic, he was the leader of the Trinitaria and the central figure in the independence movement of 1844. Along with other members of the Trinitaria, Duarte directed the resistance to the Haitian occupation, which led to the War of Dominican Independence. In addition to being a principal patriotic figure, Duarte is also central to Dominican literature today. Born January 26, 1813, and lived through July 15, 1876 in Santo Domingo, he excelled at the Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo at 15. He continued his education further in places like New York, London, Paris, and Barcelona. From 1828 to 1832, returning to Santo Domingo, which he had been a part of, which Santo Domingo had been part of Haiti since 1822. In 1836, he joined several others to form the Trinitaria, or secret society, to work for the independence of the former Spanish colony. Months after into the revolution, he was exiled by Pedro Santana, became the most prominent general in the War of Independence, and hijacked the war to put himself into power. Before the occupation, the eastern side of the island had become independent in 1821, briefly for a short period of time. There was concern over Spain retaking the colony, where the views were at the time some Dominicans wanted to side with the Grand Colombia, and eventually they ended up siding with Haiti. Okay, credit to this, shout out to Jose Martinez. Differences arose as the Haitian authorities during the occupation caused the island to fall into debt. From 1809 to 1821, the period known as España Boba, 1821 through 1822, there was a short-lived initiative for Santo Domingo to become part of the Grand Colombia. This was replaced in favor of the unification of the island, leading to the Empire of Haiti, 1822 through 1844. The Haitian occupation became oppressive to the Spanish speakers, giving rise to Dominican nationalism and the Declaration of Dominican Independence. After a failed attempt to revolt in 1843, Duarte went into exile in Venezuela, where he drafted the Declaration of Independence that would be unveiled the following year. He was still in Caracas when the successful attack on El Conde Gate took place on February 27, 1844. Liberals in the Cibao nominated Duarte to be president, but he lost to Pedro Santana of the Conservatives, who took power in the capital. Duarte only considered to take the presidency by democratic means only. Santana forced Duarte back into exile in Venezuela, this time in 1845. When Duarte passed in 1876, having to make his trip back to his native land during the last 30 years of his life, Ulysses Horrocks repatriated Duarte's remains after his death. On his birthday, January 26, is celebrated as a national holiday called El Día de Duarte, or the Day of Duarte. And now in the second part, let's talk about Gregorio Luperon, and then we're going to wrap all of this up. Now let's talk about Gregorio Luperon and how important he was as it concerns Dominican history. So let's give a summary. a leading figure of the Restoration War and president from December 1879 to September 1880. He is one of the main nationalist figures in Dominican history and popular culture, second to the Trinitaria founding father Juan Pablo Duarte, Francisco de Rosario Sanchez, and Ramon Mera. Gregorio Luperon became the leading light of the liberal cause in the late 19th century, inheriting the idealism of the Trinitaria generation. Ironically, his most capable follower, Ulysses Hurlux, rose to power in his footsteps, becoming dictator, the opposite of the principles for which Luperon was known for. Born September 8, 1839 in Puerto Plata, a small scale of shopkeepers, Luperon worked as a teenager for a wood exporter who introduced him to great literature and liberal ideas. He became a youthful leader of the nationalist forces during the Restoration War in opposition to the annexation to Spain in 1861. January 1865, he was elected vice president in the provisional government that restored the liberal constitution of 1858 from Roorda. Buenaventura Baez took power in October 1865 and restored the Constitution of 1854, which gave strong powers to the executive branch, promoting Luperon to declare his opposition. Thereafter, until 1879, Luperon became the leader of the political party called the National Liberal Party. Luperon's Azules Party forced Baez to resign in March 1866, after which Luperon backed Jose Maria Cabral as president. The Reds, or the Rojo Party, which Baez led, returned to their office in May 1868. Luperon took arms, gaining support from nationalists who opposed Baez, who planned to sell Samana Bay to the United States. Luperon was the most vocal opponent of Baez's 1869 Treaty of Annexation to the United States, writing to President Ulysses S. Grant to denounce the proposal, which failed in the U.S. Senate in 1870. Luperon's return to the country in 1874. Prior, while in exile in Haiti, Luperon began to receive assistance which helped the Blue forces to intensify their attacks across the border. Luperon supported the election of Ulysses Francisco Espaillat as president. Gregorio soon went into exile again, and in 1879 became provisional president in Puerto Plata, succeeding another president. I forgot who it was. Luperon conspired against Hurlux from abroad, plotting an aborted invasion attempt with Gonzalez in 1894, but developed cancer while living in St. Thomas. He accepted Hurlux's invitation to return home before his passing, which took place in Puerto Plata, May 20th, 1897. Luperon's memory is kept alive in many ways. He is depicted on the currency for 20 Dominican pesos in Puerto Plata. An airport is named after him also as well in the Dominican Republic. Luperon's remains are in the Panteón de la Patria in Santo Domingo, along with the remains of Eugenio Maria de Hostos. And now we're going to wrap this up. So closing out, here's an important point to consider. The Dominican Republic today is an example of a racially integrated society. We make up of a ratio of the native, the European, and the African, And all of this together gave rise to a new hybrid group, Dominicans / Quisqueyanos. For Duarte, the leading idea of his political thoughts was, in essence, Santo Domingo should be allowed its full sovereignty, free from the machinations of great powers. In this instance, against foreign intervention, Duarte wrote into his early constitutional blueprint. Luperon was fiercely patriotic, who saw himself as a Democrat. Luperon's expression of ideology of Santo Domingo, its leading groups, and its proper to say, far from being a radical nationalism, but in fact conservative in nationalism. The real and lasting achievement of Luperon, in fact, lays in his role as the great defender of natural patrimony, of the integrity of the national sovereignty. Luperon, in summary, personified the best of Dominican patriotism, the contribution of Santo Domingo in both political and literary terms. The Antillean thought has special and unique in a sense that was nurtured by a continuing struggle for independence. Duarte, the importance of municipal government in his constitutional making, the idea of racial equality, and the idea of nationalism as the ever-present danger of an occupation or annexation made every educated Dominican an adherent patriot. The racial hybridization of the population led to a sense of community of ethnic origin historically destined among Dominicans, long before such a sense emerged in Cuba and in Puerto Rico. Thus, consciousness of ethnic identity constituted the step prior to the formation of a national identity. According to some Dominican historians, the sense of nationhood and national identity had crystallized as early as the 17th century. So this is all for today. Make your opinions, comments down below. Be constructive, be considerate, be responsible, and until the next discussion.